I see that we are live. We are live. You know what? Listen, I always have to say that we are live, or I might come in and I might say something like good morning, something like that. Why? Because I have to check my volume. Okay. I have to check my volume and make sure that I am being heard. Okay. And if you guys hear my door going off, I have people in my home right now, and so you guys might hear my thing telling me that people are going in and out. So just disregard it, okay? It's a morning. People gotta do their job. I gotta do my job, okay? All right, let's continue. Listen, welcome to day 21 of getting to self-actualization. We are in the third complete week. Now, it hasn't been consistent or anything like that because y'all know we had the 4th of July and other things that has occurred. But what I want to remind you all of is if you are watching this series, although this is day 21, you do not have to watch all episodes in order. Okay. Now, if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. I am Yashika Fawcett and I am the creator of Hood Parenting on YouTube. And you are watching Getting to Self Actualization, the series. I am a life coach and a life strategist as well as a self actualization coach. And so if you are here for the first time, go ahead and show me some love. Let me know you are here. Like, share, subscribe. Do whatever you got to do. Turn on your notifications and you'll know when I go live. So today we are talking about the power of the pause before you pivot. The power of the pause before you pivot, right? And when I think about this, I automatically think about COVID, okay? How the world was and how we ran around here and how everything just stopped during COVID, right? But before we get to those things, let's talk about some other things, right? What does it mean to pause before you pivot? What exactly does that mean to actually take the time to pause, right? Pause. We all know the definition of pause. Stop, right? It's not that you don't have intention on going again, because the pause means you have intentions to go again, but you're not sure about when, right? But pause. Stop right where you are, right? So when we think about pause, what is the importance of it, and what does it mean to take that pause before you decide to pivot in life, pivot in career, pivot in relationships, pivot in anything that you are making a decision about? Exactly what does it mean? Okay. So, too many of us are confused about movement as just being progress. We think just because we are moving forward over here that we're making progress in life. And you guys know that sometimes that's not always the truth, right? Because we can very well be making, like, I'm going to give you just a simple example because I don't want to find anything in my life, okay? Because, I will have an example in my life. But let me just give an example. I can sit here because I love working out, but I love also eating good food. Okay. I love working out, but I also love eating good food. Okay. So if I eat good food every day, in my mind, if I'm not weighing myself, right? Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. If I'm working out every day and eating good food, in my mind, if I'm not weighing myself, I'm gonna think that I'm making progress. Why? Because I'm working out. And so we already know that working out eliminates calories or it burns calories, and it should contribute to, it's at least 20% of what balance of your diet, right? It's 20% of the makeup of diet and exercise, right? They say 80% is what you eat, the other 20% is that. So if I think that I'm eating very good food and I'm not weighing myself, I might be making progress in certain areas. But if I'm out here eating good food, and y'all know sometimes good food means a lot of butter, hmm a lot of smothering, a lot of toppings, a lot of drizzling. Y'all know when y'all go get something like a good old crab leg or a good old lobster tail or something, right? You gotta put some butter on there. You might even make you a good old salad, right? You want to use the vinaigrette salad dressing, but you really want the ranch dressing, right? And I mean, I'm just doing the basics here. You might go get you a good old filet mignon steak, right? You know what I'm saying? With the potato, with the works, right? So these are things that, those are good eatings. Those are good eatings. You might get you a good old homemade peach cobbler or banana pudding, strawberry, something. Those are good eating, Good eating, but we already know that come with a lot of calories. So what progress have you made? If you go into the gym every day, you'll think you're making progress, but you're not. So sometimes until you step on that scale and realize that your good eating does not account for the times you go into the gym because you eat more than you go into the gym, then you know you're not making progress, right? And so sometimes we'll confuse movement. Well, I've been going to the gym, that's movement. I've been being active. Doesn't matter what I eat. No, it does matter what I eat. Okay. And so when we think about it, we have to look at it as the two go together. They go together, but one does not mean that you're doing the other. Because just because you're moving, right, doesn't mean you're moving in the right direction. Doesn't mean you're making the progress that you need to make in order to get to self-actualization. Okay. So with that being said, sometimes the next move is no more moves. So if you're always moving and you're not moving in the way in which you're supposed to go, right? That next move may very well be your last move, right? Because that's why you have to be intentional about the moves that you make in life, right? And that's why it's important, like we're talking about today, to pause before the pivot. When you pause before the pivot, it gives you an opportunity to look ahead, to kind of give yourself, okay, like I talked about in one of my episodes, I don't know if it was here or in another class that I teach. You can look at life in three different ways. And the way that I like to look at life is like in you got three different avenues of approach that you can take, right? Now, are there a whole bunch of avenues of approach? Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, if you look at a chessboard, it has what? 32 pieces, I think it is. 32 pieces, 64 spaces. Something like that, right? So it's like something like that. 15, 16 minute piece. I can't remember. Okay. Right now, anyway. So I think it's 64 places. No matter what I do on that board, I can move each piece individually. Each time I move a piece, that's going to be a different board. But we ain't got time for 64 options, okay? Because there's 64 spaces on that board. We don't have time for 64 options. That take too long. So you need the three most likable options. You play, okay, the most likable routes. And that's why in life you'll see red light, yellow light, green light. Okay. Green light, yellow light, red light. Okay. Because you got the go, the stop, in the think, right? Or the pause, or the you need to make a decision what you're gonna do. Either you're gonna stop or you're gonna speed it up to get through this light before it turn green, or excuse me, red. That's what the yellow light tells us. Okay. So when you're talking about pivoting, right? It's important to pause before you pivot because sometimes that decision you make may very well be you may be all out of moves. And then before you know it, your king is captured on the board. And your queen. Okay. And then that's it. You out. Checkmate. Whatever it's called. I don't play chess because I don't like the rules. Okay. So now, questions to ask yourself before you pivot. Am I moving from alignment or from anxiety? In other words, what's pushing me? What is the fuel that's moving me or pushing me to move? Is it that I'm doing it out of alignment or am I doing it out of anxiety? Because I'm feeling like if I don't get this done, this might happen, or I got to get ahead of something, or I gotta be this, or I gotta do this because this, right? So is it anxiety or is it alignment? Because if it's alignment, I can guarantee you won't feel anxiety. I can guarantee you won't feel anxiety about that thing. Now, will there be something that you'll feel in you that's a little different? Yes, because anytime you do something that you've never done before, you will always feel something different. That's that part of you that's expanding. That's part of you that's saying, listen, dig in deep, do what you got to do. This is your life. This feels different, right? This feels different. Of course, it's going to be uncomfortable because we don't know what we don't know, right? But it's that thing that tells you, listen, I'm doing the right thing because if you are aligned, trust me, you won't feel any type of anxiety. Is this a soul nudge or an emotional reaction? What's telling you to get up and move, right? Is it, and the hairs on my arms are standing up, baby. So I know I'm speaking from the spirit. Is it what you feel inside of you that's saying, listen, I know what I have to do right now. I know that this movement is in alignment with my purpose because I see the signs. I see how everything is connected to everything. I see how my purpose is here and how I am purpose driven. I see how everything, divine God, whatever you want to call it, is lined up. I call it God. I call him God, Everything is lined up so that you can say, okay, I'm lining up with my purpose. So with that, you will never feel anxiety. You will never ever feel anxiety. And you will know that it is a soul nudge. Your soul is calling you to do certain things, because when you don't, it's like you get ill, right? When you got things that you need to do, or you know in your heart of hearts, and this just could be me. Maybe I'm telling y'all how I feel. But when I know that there's things that either there's something that I didn't say, something I need to say, it's always something though. I know there's always a reason when things happen. Sometimes I'll lose my voice. So I know when I lose my voice, I'm even being told to either talk more or to talk less. But here's the thing, those two are two different extremes, right? I'm given signs on what to do. We got to pay attention to those signs, right? Especially when you know that you should have said something when you didn't say something when something happened, right? And you're like, dang, why do I feel this way about this? I know I should have said something, right? When things like that happen, those are your signs, right? Because if it's giving you some type of, and it's making you sick, you're losing your voice because you didn't say something, that's those examples. And just when I looked at my clock, it was 11:11. So what I'm saying, those are those examples. Those are those things where you say, you know what? I know that this is a soul nudge and it's not an emotional reaction. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And have I gotten quiet enough to hear what's next? So when you take those pauses, have you paused long enough? Let me tell y'all something. COVID was one of those things where I tell people all the time, it was probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. Now, from personal experience, I didn't lose anyone that was close to me, right? I knew of people, but nobody immediately. So that's why it was probably looked at for me differently. However, I knew a lot was going on, and because I'm an empath, I felt everything that was going on, but I won't pretend that I felt it the way that some people felt it. I won't pretend that. But what I will say is that I did feel when things first started and we were in this, we're in the house, we're on lockdown, no one can do anything, right? And now at this point, I had a kid, all right? I had a little girl, because when we were in COVID, my daughter at the time was what, 5 or something? My math is off. When was COVID? She was born in 2013. COVID was in 2020. Okay, she was about 6 when it happened, going on 7. Okay. And so for me, now I had to protect her and I had to protect myself, because see, I'm single, right? I'm single with my daughter, right? And if you know my story, you know how I got my daughter, but I'm single with my daughter. And so I knew that if I got sick, it was going to be an issue, because who's going to see about her? But at the same time, COVID also made me be forced, made me also, let me rethink. COVID also forced me to look at some things in my life that I had been doing and avoiding, right? Some things that I had not paused long enough to sit down with. I was in survival mode for the majority of my life. By the time COVID hit in 2020, I'll never forget it. I had just celebrated. My birthday is in March 10th. Y'all, it's March 10th. Y'all know about halfway through March, close to the end of March, is when everything started to go on shutdown. So all I could think about was, well, it's my birthday. I'm gonna celebrate, because it's going on over there. It don't affect me, whatever. So I remember that day. Okay, I remember that day, and it was in 2020, and I turned 47. And I remember just thinking, okay, I'm 47 now. Now what? But what I didn't realize is that, listen, because we went into COVID, and now when we going into COVID, you figure I'm on the end of my 40s. Now I'm 47, I'm 48, I'm 49. I'm preparing for 50, right? Here we are now, I'm 52. That's been 5 years ago. So what I'm saying to you is there was a lot of things that I didn't realize that I needed to sit still with, that I had been carrying, things that I had been avoiding, right? Some good and some bad. Okay, some good and some bad, facing things that I didn't face, right? And when I say some things, I mean even my intuition, leaning more into that, right? Those were things that I was able to do, but I had to sit in it. And COVID forced me to do that, because before that, there's no way I would have took that type of time off from life, or took that type of time off from hustling, because it's like you got to get it. You got to get it. You got to get it. because right before COVID, I had just really started my entrepreneurship journey. So in my mind, hey, I got stuff to do. Okay, I got to catch up with the people that's been an entrepreneur for 10, 15 years. I don't care about the fact that I've been doing other things. All I know is that I'm in the here and the now. And I want to know what they know at this age and at this stage. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about being new to entrepreneurship. I didn't care about none of that. So COVID to me was a hindrance. For me, it was an inconvenience until I realized that it wasn't. And that's why I say it's could have the best things that could have happened. So when I think about pausing before pivot, I think about how I felt during COVID. So when there's some things that I gotta sit with in my life before I make a decision, I go back to that mindset. It won't be as extreme, but I shut myself off from the world, something I had never done before. I didn't even know how. Remember, I come from a very, very much social experience being in the military, right? I'm a very social butterfly, right? I get energy from whatever, but I had to also find energy in solace. And that was the part of my life that had been missing because in my mind, being solo is it had been okay, I'm going on a shopping trip by myself, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, or I'm sitting on, I'm in the field and I'm away from everybody for 3 or 4 days, right? Or I'm on vacation with my family, I'm away from the military for 3 or 4 days. So for me to be able to just have time where I don't interact with no part of the world at all, if it wasn't up under my roof, I had never experienced that. And you guys know that COVID, listen, it helped a lot of people and it hurt a lot of people. And for me, I can honestly say it helped me because it gave me that opportunity to actually understand what it meant to pause, to sit with some things before I make decisions, to see things from different ways. Because I thought I had been doing it, but not to this extreme. No, not no, 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 no. It was like, okay, I was more of a yellow light, go, like hurry up and push on the accelerator. Okay, like don't stop, go, just go through the light. We'll worry about the light later. Let's put a band-aid. That was me, right? When I think about red light, green light, yellow light, that was me. Like yellow light, listen, don't stop, just go. Just go through it. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Whereas there's some people like, you know what? I'll wait for the next one. So now I wait for the next light. I literally wait for the next light. Whatever speed I'm going, if I know that I'm not going to get to that light in time, I start putting on my brakes. I don't care about the people behind me that's speeding up. They better not hit me from behind because trust me, I'm going to get my car and my insurance and my stuff paid for. You better not hit me from behind because I'm pumping on my brakes to let you know I'm not about to make this light. And I'm not going to attempt. Why? Because I understand the importance of the pause. Yellow don't mean accelerate all the time. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and you got to know when, right? If there's a pause, take it. The pause is powerful because it gives you clarity and time to rise, right? It gives clarity time to rise. That's what I meant to say. It gives clarity time to rise. In other words, when you pause, you can see. You can see that, you know what? I'm not going to make this light. I know I'm not going to make this light. So ain't no need for me to press on the accelerator, right? Because I'm too far away. It's too far away. It takes about 2 seconds for a light to go from yellow to black. I mean to red, right? I'm 4 seconds away. I'm not gonna make this light. Me pressing up 20 more miles per hour on my accelerator or on my pedometer only gonna give me a ticket or make me cause a wreck or something. Then I'm gonna really be late to wherever it is I'm trying to go, right? So it's important. It gives clarity, time to rise. In other words, it gives you time to see the forest for the trees. It allows emotions to settle so logic can lead. Like I was talking about earlier, is this a soul nudge or an emotional reaction? Okay, because sometimes we do things out of emotions. You're frustrated. You're gonna run the light because you're frustrated because you feel like the day ain't started off right no way, so you're frustrated, right? That's what you're gonna do? No, right? So you got to understand. You got to ask yourself. It allows emotions so to settle so logic can lead. Ask yourself: have you settled your emotions, or are you doing something? So this is why it's important to really pause before you pivot. And it prevents you from repeating cycles just with different faces or settings. Doing the same thing again, twice, 3 times, hoping for a different outcome. Isn't that the definition of insanity? So why are you going to do it again? Right? Sometimes people do things because they got away with it the first time. Right? That's why you'll have people like the rob banks, for example. Okay. I'm going extreme here. I'm not going to talk about infidelity and things like that because that rob banks. People will say, well, we're gonna rob banks. Think about the movie Set It Off with Queen Latifah and Jada Pinkett Smith and all them in there, right? The other lady, what's her name, Vivica Fox, right? Think about it from this perspective. They had the money. They said, we're going to rob this bank one more time, right? But then they got greedy. They said, we're going to do it again. One more time. This is our last time. And y'all see what happens when they did that one last time, right? Because in their mind, they had settled everything. They were good at it. No, you got greedy at it. Okay, you got greedy at it. That's the definition of insanity, right? You felt like if you can keep doing it this way, because guess what? Eventually you're gonna get caught. So if you're doing things and you keep running through the yellow light instead of pausing sometime when you need to or stopping, you're gonna eventually cause an accident. So that's why it's important sometimes to pause. It's okay to go ahead and let the yellow light catch you. It's okay to wait for the next one. Okay, it is okay, right? So when we are wrapping up day 21 of getting to self-actualization, pause before you pivot. Listen, I liked this because I like the idea of talking about resting. The body needs rest no matter what, right? And before we make decisions, sometimes I get it. We don't have time to really think about what we do before we do it. Life doesn't always give us that luxury. I get it. But you have to say, okay, what am I doing to make sure that I am thinking this thing through? Okay. So, again, if you are watching me for the first time, I appreciate you. And while you are here, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Just do me a favor. And if you don't want to, just listen. If it's something that you want to talk about or anything that you feel like you want to hear on this channel, by all means, you can leave a comment below or do whatever, DM me and say, you know what, I don't even like what you're talking about. Why are you talking about it? What's the purpose? Whatever. Say whatever you want to say. I want to hear your feedback. Okay. And if you are looking for a life strategist or a self-actualization coach, you can go ahead and set an appointment. In the bottom of this video, you will see where you can go ahead and set up a consultation. Listen, no obligation consultation, a 15-minute, no obligation consultation. But trust me when I tell you, once you work with me or talk to me, you're going to say, you know what? I didn't know that I needed sprinkles of glitter and rainbows and pink and pretty and stuff all in my life. I didn't know that, because that's what I bring. Sunshine and glitter, okay? Sunshine and glitter. I sprinkle it everywhere I go. I will talk to you guys tomorrow at the same time. Bye.